Now to NBC5 Investigates, our ongoing series Dismissed, an investigation exposing some of the shortfalls into how we treat sexual assault victims.
Now, last night we showed you how hospitals across the state of Illinois have failed to properly treat sexual assault patients despite a state law designed to ensure that they get proper care. Well, tonight we take a closer look at a loophole in that state law that advocates say can cause further trauma for victims. Here's Bennett Haeberle.
Cheryl Thompson says she was sexually assaulted on New Year's Eve. But when she went to Union County Hospital for a rape kit, she says she was told she needed to be transferred to another hospital, 77 miles away.
That is adding more to what a victim of sexual assault has to deal with on a daily basis. And it's not right. And it should not be happening.
In her written statement to police, Cheryl said the ER doctor told her she was too fat and too tall to have been assaulted. Traumatized, she eventually went to another hospital much closer, but it was more than a week later.
I basically blame that hospital that I have no DNA, because by the time I did go get a rape kit, I was on day 9.
NBC5 Investigates examined inspection reports of 185 hospitals over the past 6 years and found nearly half failed to provide adequate care for victims of sexual assault. Some simply failed to document how they treated patients, while others failed to provide rape kits, or when they did, failed to turn them over to police. An Illinois law known as the Sexual Assault Survivors Emergency Treatment Act, or SASETA, requires hospitals to properly treat patients. But it also includes a carve-out that allows hospitals to transfer rape victims if they can't provide those services. In 2021, Insight Hospital on Chicago's South Side was cited by the State Health Department after inspectors found 7 patients seeking care for sexual assault did not have rape kits performed because the hospital lacked supplies and lacked the trained staff to perform the service. All 7 patients were sent home. Insight later crafted a transfer agreement with another Chicago hospital, Loretto. Of the 85 Illinois hospitals we found with transfer agreements, more than half of them send their patients 40 to 80 miles away. And I'm sure people at home think, well, what's going to happen in those criminal cases? You've disrupted evidence collection.
And I think those are the sort of things that there's no good excuse for.
Carrie Ward is with the Illinois Coalition Against Sexual Assault. She says she's sympathetic to staffing shortages, but says these transfer agreements can place an undue burden on victims.
That now means a survivor has to go that much further to be able, and maybe out of their own community, to be able to get the service they need. That's where I think we see the real life impact on a survivor.
After experiencing sexual violence, every single part of your life is touched by that one assault or multiple assaults.
Kaylin On is a Northwestern student, sexual assault survivor and advocate who says there needs to be additional resources and renewed attention placed on what happens to survivors after the assault.
The more barriers that are created for making that report, for reaching out for help, you're losing hundreds of thousands of survivors in each step.
As a state, we have to do better.
State Representative Kelly Cassidy is interested in changing state law to put limitations on how far patients can be transferred. But she says the Illinois Hospital Association has pushed back. What needs to change?
I think a lot needs to change. I think that there have to be real accountability measures. I don't think that it's acceptable anymore to allow hospitals to violate these laws with impunity. Trying to be partners and working together hasn't worked.
In a statement, the IHA blamed the problems on changes in the law in 2018, noting that it created challenges hindering optimal access to care for survivors, specifically the struggle to recruit sexual assault nurse examiners. The IHA said it is also working with hospitals and state agencies to identify statutory or regulatory changes that may further ensure survivors are treated in a timely manner. Representative Cassidy says she's hoping to introduce a bill in the coming months that would address this issue and require that victims be sent to a nearby hospital. Bennett Haeberle, NBC5 Investigates.
Our thanks to Bennett.